Incremental greetings. Let's continue the Supermemo course, the Pleasurable expansion. Now it's time to know how you can make an item using a template, dedicated template or not, just a formulation, perhaps, about English in this case, English language. Even if you're native or not, you can always learn English, by the way.
Now, what we're gonna see...
Before continuing, one of the strategies is that you don't use any other language as reference. That, oh, how do you say tren in English? Oh yeah, it's train. Not the best example because they are very close to each other. But you use a different language, make it Spanish, could be anything. Or you can ask via question, what do you see here? Oh yeah, that is a train.
Is how to make this into a more beautiful language component. Okay, so
language component is language item, perhaps.
Control Shift F2, obviously, because we're not idiots. We're not making the same mistake 2 times. Resize
this. He just imposed the template, which is not exactly required for what he wants to do, by the way.
Have some space here, and a thing that you often want when learning a new language is the pronunciation. Okay.
Most of the time it's true. There are some exceptions like Spanish or Japanese that they are phonetically so simple that eventually, even as a beginner, you will see that it's not even required anymore. Unlike English, that the spelling doesn't convey the pronunciation. It's what is called opaque language instead of transparent.
Honestly, you shouldn't, like, this violates our rule. Okay. You shouldn't have the sound component and the text component in the same file. It's actually a bad...
In the same file, I think he means in the same item.
At practice, you should have 2 different elements for this.
By elements, I think he means components. Or, yeah, 2 elements that regardless of the components, they ask for different things. One asks about the meaning, the other about the pronunciation. And could be the spelling if it's challenging. You actually require that.
Okay, so you should actually duplicate this and then put an audio component. Okay.
Instead, what I suggest is we already have seen from the Advanced English collection. Let me refresh that.
Mallorca.
Remember this? Mallorca. Okay.
Levi's.
And Levi's.
Remainder.
And remainder. Those are the 3 we have seen before. Nice. So in this case, I ask this how it's pronounced, but I'm not asking what's the meaning of that. By the way, this very implicitly, I'm not even saying what it is. It's a noun because I use the preposition. Without this could be the verb. I don't know if I don't specify. Like Fowl, in this case, he has train. Can be the vehicle, can also be the verb, to train. And English is not the best example for that because most of the words have the exact same spelling. So train, it's the noun and it's the verb, and most of the time there's also the adjective and so on is the exact same form. Because how it works. In Spanish, that's not the case, because you conjugate that. Then, let me actually search in the Advanced English collection if this is a thing.
Remainder.
Okay. So in that case is applied to math. What is... Applied to math, what is the number left over after an integer division? Oh yeah, the remainder.
Remainder.
I still have the sound, but the sound is at the back side, by the way. And it's just, no pun intended, super meta. It's a reminder. It's actually, I haven't, oh my god, it's so convenient to have this. It was not thought to, it's so convenient, this example. That, hey, I'm not paying attention. It's good to have like, to practice.
Remainder.
As a reminder, to have exposure, but it's not the point. I'm not asking this. That means that if I recall successfully, it's remainder. But I pronounce it as reminder, instead of remain, or something like that. I did a pronunciation mistake. I will still rate it as success, because it's about the word. I recall the word based on this description. Then, I will go here.
Remainder.
Because I did this mistake. Then I will create this flashcard how it's pronounced, because I have a fossilized error or because of memory interference with the Roman languages I speak and whatever. Then
Remainder. Factor.
Modulus, division.
Remnant.
and another example that can be an answer from another item, a leftover. What's a leftover? This needs some context. That's why this particular thing I don't like about the Advanced English collection. It's way too personal. So we've just seen an example. Fowl said that you will have two items. One for the meaning and one for the pronunciation. Perhaps for the spelling if it's challenging, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, or I remember for the Advanced English collection, crevasse was really challenging for me. And perhaps you want to use sentences as well. So you have the word or expression in context, not in isolation.
Let's do it. Let's do a good practice. So how is this called in English? How do you...
And I forgot, and this flow that you just asked by the image. So, silly speaking, the question can be implicitly assumed. So you can actually remove it and just have the answer field in text. So the only thing in the question time would be the image. What is this? And how I can know I'm asking what is this? I can assume that because there's no text, or by the template. Because it's this particular shade of blue, I know it's a language item. As easy as that.
pronounce this, because it's two different type of knowledge. Knowing how to recognize the text and the be able to pronounce it are two different things.
Yep.
As you can see, I'm not that good at pronouncing English. Probably do know a lot of English, even though my speech sometimes sounds kind of retarded. But, so...
what he's going to do now is getting an audio to have the audio in Supermemo. Once again, extremely tedious to do, because you have to use the sound component, the sound registry. So you need to save this file, first record it from your computer, then save it as a file, then select the component, Ctrl-Q, select that. Oh my god, so many steps. By the way, he's not knowledgeable, but you can download those files. There's no need to do all of this, recording your desktop and so on. And something I did, if you have this flow, I suggest this video, full embedded dictionary audio, which basically, in his case, is the Cambridge Dictionary. So I put this on my registry already, preemptively, a few tens of thousands of files. So therefore, I already have this in my Supermemo collection, and I just link it. So conveniently, I link it. So I avoid all of this. The downside is that I have a lot more sounds that I'm not using. There are pros and cons, but based on my usage, I will prefer this option. But, I mean, there's no comparison Never in my life I will choose this option. Way too time consuming.
You're gonna use Audacity, and I'm gonna link back to Wozniak video about this too. So what you're gonna do is you will have component. Look, you will get displayed to. Oh no, sorry, not question.
And exactly, you want uncheck on question, so it's only on the answer time. Then in Supermemo you have 3 times: question, answer, and after grading. Why this is useful? For exposure. So once you rate as a failure or success, whatever option you decided, then you will hear the audio once again, like in the Advanced English collection. This one, let's do it. That's the front, there's no audio.
remnant,
Then I rate. Hey, I didn't hear it again.
remnant,
Now I did. And I click on learn, and I go to the first element in the pending queue. We'll cover this in the learning flow section.
remnant,
So you get displayed twice, on the answer and after grading. More exposure.
Answer on answer. If you're a little bit of a masochist, even after grading, so you can hear it 2 times.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say now
Perhaps in English would be
I'm doing
an overkill, but for Chinese that he also is learning, especially the tones, and unless you're already familiar with the tones, until you don't get there, the steep curve of learning Mandarin, you can play those. And remember, if you just uncheck that, display add, this will affect all of the elements on the template. So it's not a big deal. It's something you can change anytime. So let's say that you have been learning Mandarin Chinese for 1 year, and I'm confident enough, I don't need this to be repeated twice. You right-click, display add, and check the box of after grading, and all of the elements are now, from now on, are like that. You don't have to do these element by element cases, unlike the multiple choice question.
this as a question. Okay. How do you pronounce this? Train.
train,
You hear it, I hear it, and honestly, that's it. Now you grade it,
train,
it replays.
He sounds like tired, that I'm so fed up. I want to finish this already. Yeah, take this, that it's way too laborious, once again. It's okay if you do it like that, but if you start today, in 2024, you want to start, use Anki instead. Because it makes sense that people in the 90s or early 2000, they did this, and now they want to keep using it, because most of their content is already like that. So they are just adding one card here and there. They don't start using Supermemo, they don't start the language from scratch. They are already advanced in English. Most of the material is already done. It's not the same context as you. I very strongly suggest, feel free to experiment with Supermemo for that. But if you don't do incremental reading, it's only this flow, I strongly suggest Anki instead.
Again, you want to do template 7 plus. And then pick, let's do it. Use. So let's this as a, and this element shift F2.
Yeah, that's all he covers. So that's not all you need to know. It's just an example how you can formulate some items for language. In this case, English, but not limited to English. See you in the next video.